Well, good morning, folks, and welcome back. Cumberland Outdoorsman here with you on a beautiful Saturday morning. Temperatures are really going up today. I think they're going to reach the 90s. And here it is, late May. It's still springtime. And it's kind of hard to believe, but another turkey season has come and gone for us. Turkey season ended here in Tennessee last Sunday, and I really took some time to kind of go back and cherish the memories that I had from this past season and other seasons as well. One of the ways I like to preserve the memories of my hunts is to display the tail fan of a wild turkey. Now, there are a lot of ways of preserving what's left of your turkey, and everybody has their way of doing it. You know, some people just want to display the fan itself, like I have here, you know, and sometimes they want to attach just the beard, and that's fine. You know, if that's the way you want to do it, that's great. You know, whatever suits you, that's all that matters. The way I like to do it is I like to display the fan in the most aesthetic way that I possibly can, and I also like to display the beard and the feet, which hold the spurs, of course. And, well, here on the table in front of me, I've got a couple of fans from turkeys that I harvested this past spring, and I'm going to show you how I prepare my turkey fans. And I've also got an example of an old turkey that I harvested some 20 years ago, and it really holds a special memory with me because it was a hunt that I shared with an old friend of mine that's now long passed away. And I'll tell you, we really had a lot of good times in the turkey woods, and we also quail hunted together and squirrel hunted. Just spent a lot of good times in the woods here in Tennessee together, hunting and fishing. He actually introduced me into creek fishing, stream fishing for rock bass and smallmouth. And anytime I look at this display, I can't help but think about him. And here's the way I like to do it, folks. I've got the feet intact with the beard, and of course with these feet, the legs, the spurs are also preserved, and that's the way I've got it displayed on my wall, just like that. You know, on the back here I've got a piece of hardwood, just an oak slab that I saved from when I was cutting firewood, and I attached the turkey fan to it. I've got a couple of mounts like this in the house already, and that's the way I'm going to do these here this year, folks. So without further ado, let me show you how I do it. Maybe it'll give you some ideas on your turkey mount to preserve the hunts that you've had in the past. And you know, if you may get some ideas that I don't have yet. I don't claim to know it all. This is just the way I've been doing it, and I've been able to preserve the hunts pretty well doing it this way and save a lot of room at the same time. So without further ado, let me get right into it and show you how I do it. All right, the first order of business when you get your turkey home is obviously you've got to clean it and process it. And I've got a video out that shows you exactly how to do that and how you can save most all the meat that's on the turkey without wasting anything. When you remove the tail fan, you want to cut down about that far from the end of the tailbone, and then sever the tailbone and cut through the meat and remove it, which leaves you, you know, pretty much all this. You want to try and save as many of these iridescent feathers here as you possibly can. Now, this is an old turkey fan that I just rehydrated for purposes of this video. And what you want to do is remove all the meat that's at the base of these feathers. You know, try to get as much of that meat. Now, leave the yellow connective tissue intact because it will actually hold the fan together. Now, you can remove all the feathers and try to organize them and arrange them, you know, in order the way they came off, but this is a much easier and more natural looking method. I've been doing it like this for a long time, and I'm going to continue doing it this way. Now, once you get down to where you can actually see the quills of the feathers, you'll have a little bit of this tailbone left right here. That little section right there, you just want to shave that down and leave this yellow tissue pretty much intact. And then what you want to put on there is some borax. You want to apply it all over the section where you removed all the meat. You know, just sprinkle it on there, nice and even, kind of rub it in. What this does, it'll actually help preserve the fan itself. Just like that. Okay. Now once you got the borax on there, just leave it on there. It'll dry and it'll harden and preserve your fan the way it is. What I usually use to get the meat off is just something like a good sharp pocket knife, you know, with a thin blade. That way you can get in there and really remove all that meat, because you don't want to leave any meat in there because it will rot. So get that meat out of there and get down to that yellow connective tissue where all the quills come together, and then you'll be able to go ahead and spread out your turkey fan. What I use to spread it out with is just an old piece of cardboard, like this old cardboard box. And I put the turkey fan on there, kind of center it. Let me show you here. Pan the camera down here. I don't have anybody else to help me film here, so I'll have to do this myself. You want to center it and then spread them all out. Naturally, a turkey fan has 18 of these primary feathers. Okay, so you want to keep all these feathers intact. And you want to come down. This is going to be a little different than one that's fresh. The ones that are fresh are much easier to spread. But I'm going to lay this one out and get it ready to mount. What I use are these quilting pins. I pin everything down until everything's in place, and then I let everything dry. It takes about 10 days or so for everything to be dry to be able to go to the next step. So let me go ahead and get this spread out, and I'll be back with you in just a second. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention was the availability of this borax here. This has been around for a long time, folks, as long as I can remember. And all it is really is a laundry detergent booster. Okay, it's available in your laundry detergent aisle at most of your retail outlets. So one box is like $4 or $5 or whatever, and it goes a long way. So once you've got the borax and everything applied, you got your fan all set out like this and spread out and held down with these quilting pins like I do. Make sure you put some at the base to hold everything in place here, you know. You don't want any gaps between the feathers. You want it all to be nice and even, just like the turkey would look when it's in full strut. You know, you see a wild gobbler out in the field somewhere in full strut, that's what you're trying to imitate. Now, make sure all these secondary feathers here are all laid out nice and even to follow the contour of the primary feathers. And then these beautiful iridescent feathers along the back here, make sure they're all together, following the contour of the secondary feathers. You don't want them all clustered to one side or another, or any gaps in between. You know, you want everything spread out nice and even. And once you're satisfied with the way that your fan's going to look, I think that I'll call that good right there. Let me put this feather over this one here. That'll look a little bit better. I hold it down with a flat piece of wood. This is just a piece of sawmill lumber out of my firewood pile. And I leave that weight on there for about 10 days. About 10 days until everything is hardened and cured. You know, you want it nice and flat, just like that. You don't want anything to raise up where it'll stick out. You want everything to be nice and flat. That's the way you want to mount it. Once you got it set, just like I do here, make sure you put it up somewhere. Don't let your dog or your cat get to it, you know, because they will chew on the bottom part of these turkey fans because they're, I mean, and really you don't want them consuming any of this borax here. It could make them really sick. But put it up somewhere where it'll dry and harden, and in 10 days you can come back and we'll go to the next step. So that's coming up right away. So stay with me. Well folks, I took the liberty of preparing one of the fans one step ahead of the other one just to show you a comparison. This is the latest turkey that I harvested, and it's already dry. You know, it's ready to be displayed, and you can display it just like this if that's what you choose. I mean, that's the way you like it, that's fine. Nice, beautiful, big, full fan, you know. This was a really big turkey, by the way. It's one of the biggest, heaviest turkeys I've ever killed. But what you see here is these beautiful iridescent feathers, and then all this drab colored downy stuff here at the bottom that's at the base of these feathers. And what I like to do is fill all this in with these colors here. And I'm going to show you how I do that. Here's the comparison. Here's the other one I had on the table just the other day. And I went ahead and filled that in. See how you got all that nice color in rows to follow the contour of the fan. I'm going to lay these on the table side by side so that you can see the comparison here. See how much more color you got in this than you do here? And you get a little variation from one turkey to the next. You know, some of them have a brighter color to them. Some of them are more rust red, orange colored. Some of them are darker, you know. And I've seen some of these where the fans have a real light buff color. And these are eastern turkeys. Some of them look like Rio Grandes to me, you know. But anyway, I'm going to show you how I accomplish this on this fan. Okay, when I cleaned this turkey and I took the fan off of it, I was careful to save some of these back feathers that are just right under this part here. You know, they lay just like that. And what you want to do is kind of step down in rows and keep everything, you know, in order with the contour of this turkey fan. So what I like to do is just lay them all out, you know, the prettiest feathers that I can get off the turkey. Kind of straighten them out a little bit. And I come just to the edge of that brown barring right there. And I know about how much I need to cut off of this feather right here. Because if you don't cut them off, you'll get a big mess right here at the bottom, big jumbled mess. So you just take a pair of scissors and just snip it off. You can lay that down just like that. Same with this one. Try to keep all your iridescent coppery colors in line, okay? This is not an exact science, but it, you know, it really helps to improve your turkey display here. Just like that. You've just taken off that much. I always try to use the same feathers from the same turkey. I don't mix them up because they do vary in coloration. I'm just laying them out right now the way I want to show them off. The reason I'm doing this just to kind of give you an idea, you know, for yourself in case you are interested in doing this. This is not the absolute way of doing it. I mean, there's so many other ways of displaying your turkey. This is just one of the methods that I use. Okay, I've got that laid out. Now, we'll save these just the way they are. Just lay them to the side in the order that you put them down. And what you want to use is some clear silicone here, okay? Don't use glue, because the glue will actually leach through the feathers and discolor the feathers. Silicone won't do that. You want to lay a bead of it out right on top of these feathers here. And this stuff is really sticky, so it'll hold your feathers in place. Just like that. And once again, we'll start out with the middle feather. And lay it down just like that. And go to the next one. Keep it nice and even. Don't stagger them like this. You know, keep all your colors in line. My opinion, this really improves a turkey fan. This is something I haven't seen on social media anywhere yet. So this is probably something kind of new for most of you. If you have a little bit more than what you started out with, you can trim it off, you know. Keep it trimmed down. You're not going to hurt anything because you're going to cover all that up anyway. Don't worry about this part right here. Once that silicone dries, it'll stay on there permanently. Trim this one a little bit more. Place it right here. Okay, that's the first row that's done. Now we'll step down to the next row. Once again, we're going to start out with a middle feather, and I think I'm going to use this one. You'll trim this off even shorter, about halfway. Okay, and I'm going to lay it out. You'll use less and less feathers as you go down. Try to save as many of these as you possibly can, because they have a lot of other uses as well. Okay, once again, put out another bead of silicone. One of those feathers came off, but that's no problem. Don't panic. Just stick it back down. I would stick with clear silicone. I wouldn't go with anything that's any other color. It just simply does a good job, and it always has for me. We'll start out with this center feather here. Once again, stepping down, try to keep as much of that color showing as possible. I'll tell you what, it never ceases to amaze me just how beautiful these wild turkeys are. I mean, they're just absolutely gorgeous. The color in them is just fantastic. Okay. All right. Now you can see we're really filling all that in real nicely. You know, you still have this blob in the middle here. So we're going to trim some of this away. Because I don't want to cover up any of these natural colors here. Now we'll step down even shorter. Just like that. I mean, really you could finish it off just like that right there, you know, but I'm going to add 2 more feathers. And let's see. We'll pick out a few of these smaller ones. There we go. Add a little bit more here. Okay, stuff really sinks into that down of those feathers. Okay, stick that one down. Put a little bit here. I've done this for friends of mine and they're always impressed with their turkey fans, and to my knowledge they still have them displayed. And I'm going to put that one there, right in the middle, just to top it off. And there you have it. All that is filled in now with all the beautiful coloration of this wild turkey. Next, I'm going to show you how I trim the legs. Make sure you save your beard and your legs together so that you don't get them mixed up. What you have after you clean the turkey is this right here. Well, if I want to display them, you know, I can do that, I guess, but what I do is I cut these at an angle so that they fit together just like that. You know, and then I'll have the beard hanging down from the middle. And that'll be part of the mount itself. So let me show you how I do that. Okay, well, now that we have our turkey fan pretty well displayed, and everything is hardened here and is in place, it's time to go ahead and prepare the plaques and the legs and the beard to be displayed with the fan. And here on the table I've got these plaques that I made. These are just out of firewood that I've been cutting. I just take a chainsaw and cut these plaques. You don't have to use these. I mean, you can use plywood or anything else to you know, mount your turkey fan on. What I did here, I'm going to show you how I accomplished this. I glued these legs together, the bones of these legs, and then I cut a little notch out right here. Let me get that centered up. Cut the notch out right there for the beard to fit in, just like that. And then that'll hang under the turkey fan like that on the wall. So anyway, let me show you how I did that. First of all, I'm going to use this plaque here. So what I want to do is drill a hole here. So we'll use this as the front. I'm going to drill a hole right here. This is not going to show anyway. This will be behind the fan, so it doesn't matter really what flakes off of it or whatever. You don't have to varnish it or anything. This is just something to hang the fan on when you put it on your wall. Now, as far as these legs, you want to display them with the spurs out, you know, so that you can show off the spurs, like I did with this one. I mean, you can do it that way, but I always like to have the spurs where they really show off, you know. Especially if you kill a really big turkey, you want to show them spurs off. But what you want to do is cut at an angle. I just use a jigsaw here. Come in about right here. Just like that. Same thing with the other side. Doesn't have to be perfect, you know, just and that exposes that bone right there that we're going to epoxy together. So it'll be like that. You know, that'll show both spurs and the legs after they've dried. You want to do this after they dry, by the way. Here it is a few weeks after the turkey season has ended. And that's the reason I'm making this video now, is because I had to wait till all this stuff dried. Go ahead and mix up some epoxy here. And if it's a nice sunny day like it is today, that's just perfect, you know, because this epoxy will set up really well. That should be enough to glue those legs together. Mix it up real good. I'll tell you what, I'm going to add a little bit more. Just to be sure. It's just a clear epoxy. There's several different manufacturers that make this stuff. Just make sure you mix it up real well, because if you don't, it won't harden. Okay, now you just put it on one of the legs there. The bone's going to soak up some of this stuff, so you want to put a pretty good amount on there. A nice puddle of it, if you will. And then I just stick them together. Okay, what I usually do to keep these legs together until the epoxy hardens is I use a pair of vice grips, and just pinch that tissue together right above the bones there, and that'll hold it until this hardens real well. Okay, now that everything's hardened, I want to go ahead and mount my fan to my plaque here. Now what I want to do at the bottom of this is kind of flatten that out just a little bit. Just like that. Because I really don't want any of the wood to show. You can see on the back of this fan here where the borax has just hardened this tissue right here. I'm going to go ahead and lay it out the way I want it. Let's see if I can keep that centered there. And that's the way it's going to look once I get it done. I'm going to add a few more feathers down here at the bottom to kind of cover this up. So you always want to save as many of these feathers as you possibly can. I don't really want anything else showing except for the fan and the legs. Okay, now it's time to attach the fan to the plaque here and also the legs to the plaque. So I'm going to lay this out pretty much the way I want it, about like that. And what I use is body filler. Okay, this is automotive body filler. So we'll go ahead and mix some up here. You can get this stuff at most automotive places, or even Walmart carries it. Sorry about the background noise, that's just my AC unit that just popped on. Go ahead and mix it up here with the hardener till you get a nice uniform color. Being out here in the sun, I got to work pretty quick because this stuff sets up in heat a lot faster than it does in a shady, cool place. You want a nice creamy, smooth texture there. You don't want any lumps or anything like that, because once it starts hardening, it'll start getting lumpy. Okay. Put that down there. And some above it here for the fan. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and attach these feet here. I'm going to go ahead and put this beard in here too, because the body filler is also a pretty good adhesive. Later on I'll nail this down with either some screws or some small nails, but for now I want it to sit just about like that. Go ahead and weigh this down. This is the other set of legs that I just got done with. And as you can see, they're stuck together pretty good. That epoxy does a great job. Make sure it's fairly symmetrical. Now I've got some feathers here that I'm going to cover this up with. And when I'm done, it'll look more like that, you know. So I saved some of these iridescent colored feathers to cover up some of this here because I don't want that to show. I want that covered up down to where the beard starts. You know, we're going to cover all this up. So I'm going to let this set up, and then once I get ready to put the feathers on, I'll show you how I do that. Okay, while this body filler was setting up, I went ahead and attached these legs with some tiny wire nails, and I also attached the fan here with a panel nail, okay, just to kind of make sure everything stays in place. Now I want to cover all this up, so I saved some more of these feathers from this turkey, and what I'll do is trim some of these off. And you'll know just about how much to trim off by looking at it here. How much you want to cover up. Okay. And we'll cut a few more like that. Okay folks, now I want to cover this up, so I put some silicone down here, and I put a small feather here at the bottom and glued that in place. I'm going to put a little bit more silicone right in here because I'm going to add some more feathers just to cover all that up. Don't worry about these feathers here if they're a little bit ruffled, because we're going to cover all that up. Got to be careful of the wind because it'll blow all your feathers away. Okay. Now I'm going to put one here. Keep it all nice and symmetrical, you know. Put one there. Come up a little bit. Try to keep these lines in order. Cut that one down just a little bit. A little bit more. Okay, and now the center one. We're going to put the middle one in there, and that'll pretty much finish it off. And there we have it, folks. Well, folks, now that I've got this turkey fan mounted and everything is set and dried, I decided to come out here and display it against the wall of my woodshed here to kind of give you an idea of what it would look like against a rustic background like that. So if you have like a wood grain paneling in your house and that's where you decide to mount your turkey fan, this kind of gives you an idea of what it would, you know, look like in that kind of setting. Now you can mount these against a white painted wall if you want. They still look great. And let me also say that this is by no means the only way of mounting a turkey fan. You know, this is just an idea that I came up with, and I wanted to relay an idea to you that this is the way I've done it in the past, where I was able to display the turkey fan like this, and also to preserve the feet with the spurs and the beard and everything intact, mounted with the fan. Now you can just preserve the fan by itself like this if you'd like, maybe with just the beard. You know, it's all however you want to do it. This is just an idea that I had, I wanted to share with you. I remember when I first got into turkey hunting, I went to the National Wild Turkey Federation convention in Nashville, and there was one booth that I came to, and he was selling calls, but I really liked the display that he had there. He had like an archway where he had all of his turkey fans mounted all the way around with the beards, and that really impressed me. I thought, man, if this guy's killed that many turkeys, I think I'll buy one of his calls, and I did. But that was before I even harvested my first turkey. That's when I first got into it, and I really wanted to try it to see how much fun it would be, and boy, I sure am glad I did, because I've had a lot of fun since then. That's been some 30 years ago, and I've harvested a lot of turkeys since then too. I could probably have one of those booths set up just like he did. But you know, if you want to do a turkey fan and not have the expense of a taxidermy bill of mounting a full life-size turkey, because that can be rather expensive, folks. I mean, that's several $100s there. This here, total cost would be under $20. And then you can do 3 or 4 of them, you know, with the same materials that you use to do the one. You'll have enough on hand for that. So, you know, I wanted to share that with you so that in case you decide to do it this way, you'll know how I did it. And you may come up with another idea yourself. You know, I've seen other displays where they preserve the wings, and in some cases with the heads mounted. The turkey head itself was preserved. I think they use freeze drying, and I'm sure there's other ways of preserving the heads of these turkeys. They paint them, and then they put lifelike looking eyes inside of them, you know, and they look really good, to be honest with you. So you know, that's so many different ideas out there, and this is just one of them. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for watching, and thanks a lot for coming along. I really appreciate it. And remember, if you like to go hunting and fishing, camping, shooting, hiking, whatever it may be, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And until next time, remember, hit that like button, smash that bell icon, and subscribe. That way you'll know when more videos like this will be coming your way. So until next time, my friends, this is a Cumberland Outdoorsman wishing you well. Y'all stay safe and take care of yourselves, and get out there and enjoy the great outdoors.